Good morning, sub tours. Welcome to Goat Talk. Goat Talk from Portland. We're actually on location here for the next couple of months. Want to welcome y'all all here today. If you're interested in mobile homes, this is going to be an exciting day for you. We've got Sub 2 Max coaching group student and mobile home investor extraordinaire, Pam Fisher, here with us today. We're going to talk a little bit about mobile homes. So you guys, if you have any questions about mobile homes, just drop them into the comments and we'll get those as quickly as we can. And we have a couple of guests pop in on here this morning to talk about mobile homes as well. Hey, Michelle, good to see you this morning. Glad you're here with us. So anyway, Pam, let's start talking about mobile homes here for just a bit. How did tell us about you, how you got started in investing, and just what interested you in mobile homes?
Sure. Well, thanks so much for having me today, William. This is a little bit of a different setup. Am I able to see who's on with us at all through screen?
You may be able to see comments. Can you?
Okay.
Can you? And we'll bring those in. And then also when we bring somebody in to talk with us, of course they'll be on screen too.
All right, sounds good. Well, again, thanks for having me on. I'm Pam Fisher. I live in North Carolina, and some people will say North Carolina has more mobile homes and mobile home parks than anywhere else in the U.S., but that's all right. We love our little wobbly box here. I started in mobile homes a little bit by accident, to be honest with you. I grew up in the country, and sorry, I can't talk. So I'll be with you in about an hour. So sorry. So whenever I had a family member that came to me and said, will you buy a house for me? And I kind of giggled and said, I don't think that's going to happen. And when we started talking about the possibilities of her renting down in a rural area where my family lives, I started looking at the price of rental properties and I was stunned. I'm like, whoa, that's insane to me to see how expensive it's gotten for a rural area that I lived in. So at that time, I went on Craigslist, which was very popular then, and looked in our area and found one piece of property that happened to be 5 acres and 5 lots in a mobile home park. So I emailed the gentleman. He responded back. We knew of each other through a connection. You know how that goes in the rural areas where you know the family of somebody. And in the end, I convinced him to sell it to me on owner financing. We reduced the price by $20,000. I put a down payment in, and then I moved the double wide in to where a burnout lot was. An old mobile home was there. We pulled that in. We set it up. We made it nice enough, and my family member ended up going in there and living. And within the first month of having the full-on rentals and kind of introducing myself, we were cash flowing very well. So not only was the property paying for itself, I was also cash flowing nicely. And I thought, there's got to be something to this. So pretty quickly, I bought a couple other smaller parks in the area and sort of kept going.
Right.
For me, mobile homes are, for doing more formal words, we'll call them the manufactured homes. They are economically viable. They are, I have somebody saying they're getting feedback from my side, William. I don't know what to do differently here.
I'm not hearing it any over on this side. So
okay. Sorry, Phil. I'm not sure what to do differently here at the moment. I see your comment there, buddy. They're economically viable. They're all over the place. Some people don't like them because of various pieces and reasons why. But when you look at them from a cash flow perspective of what it takes to get into them, and then what it takes to essentially fix them up and then hold on to them, your numbers are crazy, in all honesty, which is why I love them personally. So
I know the returns are great on some of them. I've got, you and I have gone around and around about mobile homes, mostly in a joking manner. I mean, absolutely. I think whatever you like to do in investing, it works. You do it. I mean, the numbers are insane. Ethan, good morning. Phil, John, Farouk, good to see y'all today. We've got some students that may want to pop in that do mobile homes or have questions about mobile homes. So let's see. We've got, hey, Ed, good to see you.
Hey, Ed.
Hey, good morning, Pam. William,
how are you?
Oh, hey, computer. Holy smokes!
Yeah. So did you? You may do mobile homes. I don't think we've ever talked about that. Do you buy mobiles or modulars and that sort of thing?
We just bought a park.
Oh wow! Yeah, that's good for you.
Where'd you buy a park, Ed?
In Springfield, Oregon, where I live.
How big?
10 units.
Congratulations.
Yep, thanks. I dittoed it exactly everything you just said. Cash flow, entry point, all that stuff.
Yeah. Absolutely. So I love parks. I have one that's, I'll say, a good solid medium size. I have one park that's 74 lots.
Oh, wow.
And then I have a few others sprinkled around that are much smaller than that. But I love parks. Depending on who you speak to, the way that you go about them, it can change, and how you manage them. So on your park, do you own the homes, or do the tenants own the homes?
The tenants own the homes.
Okay. So in the world of mobile homes, when you get into a park, that's called tenant-owned homes, for anyone that doesn't know that. So whenever you're evaluating mobile home parks, which several people have talked to me about the possibility of having that kind of a discussion, that's one of the things you need to identify up front is, are the homes that are in there, are they park-owned, meaning if you purchase the park, are the properties there owned by the park, or are they tenant-owned? And depending on who you speak to, some prefer for it to be tenant-owned, some prefer for it to actually be park-owned. So, and your numbers are pretty good, Ed, when you bought?
Say that again?
Were your numbers really good when you purchased this one?
It would hold its own in the very beginning, but with the corrections and management and rent adjustments and cash flow is nice.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Well, congratulations.
There's great upside in the park. So.
That's great.
Yeah. Especially when you combine them with owner financing. It's even better.
Oh, yeah.
That's right.
Oh, yeah, that's cool.
Jody's asking in the sign, which do I prefer? And I'll say both. So, if I go into the concept of William's idea of sub 2, right? He doesn't want to deal with 3 things: tenants, trash, and toilets. If you don't own the actual mobile homes and you have tenant-owned mobile homes, you pretty much give up trash, toilets. You still have tenants, but they're only doing lot rent, so it changes quite a bit. So there are some gurus out there, Jody, that only say to own the lot, the land, and not the homes, which is what Ed's doing. Again, having tenant-owned homes versus park-owned homes. I have both, and they have uniquities on both sides. How about we say it like that? You cannot beat the cash flow with anything comparable if you own the houses. And that's part of the reason why sometimes I like to own the houses. Yes, there's going to be maintenance. Yes, there's going to be issues. But depending on what part of the country you're in, sometimes you can find the prices of mobile homes that you just can't deny the beauty of that possibility. So.
Right. Yeah, I had a buddy when I lived in Macon, and his model got to be where he would look for a park that had poor management. The homes were run down, and his model, I mean, it was a long drawn out process, but he would go out, find a lender, fund the deal. He would option the deal from that person. It was all set up in the beginning. So he would lease it with an option to purchase it, so he could do it all in his Roth IRA. It was incredible. And then his process over the next 2 or 3 years would be to get all the no payers and whatnot out, remodel all the homes, and then sell them with seller financing, creating a note and increasing the lot rent. And then when he got the value of the park up, he would sell it, flip it, and put all the proceeds in his IRA. And I've seen him do, $250,000, or more profits over a couple of year period of time, put straight tax-free into his Roth IRA.
Well, let me just say that if anybody has money sitting around and they're interested in doing something like that as a partnership, William, I'd be happy to chat with them along those lines. I recently had to turn down a park because it was a rundown park that has that uptink potential of it. And if someone knows the potential upside of a mobile home park or manufactured homes, it's great. But trying to convince someone of that value is a different story. So traditional investors that are not into mobile homes don't understand that concept, because they'll say, well, can't they pull the trailer out? Well, yeah, they could, but can't somebody burn down a house? Right? So it's a different mindset for investing in manufactured homes, and it's not everyone's cup of tea. And I acknowledge that. So I don't ever try and convince someone anymore if they are putting up that opposition. I get it. That's all right on their side. People like myself and Ed know the secrets that we'll continue doing that. So
yeah, well, great points. We know the backside of that deal because you've done so many of them. You've done tons of them.
Yeah.
You know, you can see that vision is really, really clear for you, and trying to convince someone.
Absolutely.
Difficult.
Right.
You can't. I don't even try and change the perception. Now, when someone says, I'd like to learn more, I'm happy to bring people to my parks and let them see, and I'll show them the difference between a double wide and a single wide. Oftentimes we're setting up a new one, so I'll show them the tie downs and what vinyl skirting is, and new terminology. A marriage wall is something they call when you put two single wides together to make a double wide. And then the permit process and what the inspection process is a totally different world. That's unique, but still a very acceptable way of living if you come through a lot of rural areas. Now, Ed, you're talking about Oregon, which I would imagine your prices of mobile homes are a bit more than sometimes my price of mobile homes I can get sometimes.
Right.
It's very common to see what we'll call rundown shacks of mobile homes on the side of the road. I see that, and I see opportunity, because even if it's a rundown mobile home, there's three things that location has: land, water, and electric. Well, four things, sewer as well there. So you've got some type of stability and infrastructure in for those four things, whether you want to bring in, I don't know, another mobile home. Talk about owner financing opportunities, maybe not directly through Sub-2, but those are phenomenal ways to create notes and then work through those. Or potentially in some areas, RVs are a really popular thing. Some people are looking for places to put RVs. If there's not strong municipality involvement, that may be a viable option as well. Or in my world, if it's not a total loss, we'll go in and we'll fix up a mobile home, because the reality is that you have the structure in a mobile home in a very different way than what you have in a house, but it's the same thing. You can go through and re-insulate. You can go through and put vinyl siding back on, change your windows, change your roof. You can do everything that you can do to a home. Sometimes a little bit more support, but it's viable to do that in a mobile home world as well.
Yeah. Well, Ed, congrats on the park. That's great. So thanks for coming in and visiting with us this morning. And listen, we're gonna get together here in the next few days and go out and have dinner. So we're gonna round up some of the Washington and Oregon people and do that. So looking forward to it.
That'll be fun. Yeah.
All right, great. Hey,
thanks Pam. Thanks, William. Appreciate it.
Congratulations, Ed.
Thank you. Have a good week.
You too.
All right. Bye-bye. Okay. Hey, listen, we got Tim in here. Good morning. Brad, Jeff, good to see you guys. Mark's here with us. Good to see you, Mark. Phil, see Kenneth. Kenneth maybe had a question or comment. With the stress on the market, I've seen the price of mobile homes rise like crazy. My question is this: when the market corrects, will mobile homes be good value again?
Absolutely, Kenneth. I don't hesitate at all. I bought them before they went crazy high, and I'll buy them after they go crazy high. The answer is yes. I will tell you a couple things from the market side that you're speaking of. The cost to move mobile homes are up tremendously. I used to be able to move a single wide for around $1,500 where I am in North Carolina. Now that cost is anywhere from $3,000 to $5,000, and that's just to move it. That doesn't include the actual setup with electrical, plumbing, and HVAC. Another thing that we're seeing is the prices of a brand new mobile home, manufactured home, have gone up. The last statistic I heard was by about 35%, and they're not able to keep up with the market of the demand at the moment. Whenever you buy a park, you have some additional opportunities to not only become a dealer of mobile homes, but also to be able to order them directly from the factory. And the last update I received from some colleagues of mine was that they were waiting 9 to 18 months to actually have their custom for the park homes delivered to the park. So one of the strategies of some folks who actually purchase parks is they'll clear out the current older homes in there and bring in brand new ones. And then you can work through lending one of a couple ways. One would be to get them set up and then basically be a salesperson for the dealer, or for the company that is manufacturing them. And then the person gets pre-qualified, and then they actually buy the home, and then you have lot rent, but you have all new homes. A second way you can do that is to have somebody move them in new, and then me as the park actually owns that home and then rents it. And then the third way is to do a combination of those things. So again, 9 to 18 months is what I've heard from some colleagues recently related to that, if they were buying the brand new homes due to the demand that's coming in. So it looks like Mark's saying that he's working with the private equity fund now, raising millions to buy any larger parks that any of you pass on. Sorry, Mark, I'm going to ask him to pass on to me, not you, my friend.
Hey, we got a couple other folks in here. I'm not sure if they're live or not. Lisa, are you here? We see your picture. Hey, Lisa, I know you do the tiny homes. Or are you doing mobile homes too?
I'm not doing mobile homes. I'm just doing tiny homes.
Okay.
But Lisa, don't you take lots that were previously set up with mobile homes that maybe is older, and then move them out and use some tiny homes in those places with the infrastructure we talked about of the land, the water, the sewer, and electric already there?
Yes, and I love that because all of those are already in place. I have had to upgrade, but I still like it because I'm getting rid of something that's dilapidated and an eyesore, and I'm putting something brand new on it.
Sure.
So yes, most definitely. I do like the mobile homes because I do think that they are an important part of the affordable housing issue that's going on out here.
Absolutely. I will say that in my park and any other places that I have mobile homes, we can get 20 calls a week sometimes, and we're not in a huge market for that type of demand because people are looking, and there's just not enough areas that has economically viable, affordable housing. So absolutely there's demand.
Right.
Yep.
I know Lisa's killing it with those tiny houses, so we're going to have her back on here sometime talking about that. There was a lot of interest when she was here before talking about it, and I know I see your videos all the time. I know pretty soon you're gonna control the whole area there in Virginia, I guess, with tiny houses. There won't be any big houses to buy.
I just bought 7 more lots, so
wow.
I've got a whole bunch in inventory. I've just got to work on subdividing some more land. But yeah, it's all going to probably come at one time.
I hear you. Okay. Well, great. Hey, it was good to see you. Glad that you popped in with us this morning.
Thank you.
All right. Have a great day.
William Phil's asking, do I only buy parks that are being offered for sale, or do you actively market off-market parks? So, Phil, my experience is that at this point, there's a lot of brokers out there that have caught on to mobile home parks. And when a broker gets involved, you're seeing the price increase tremendously. So I have been fortunate, and the ones that I have bought have mainly been off market. I have one partnership of a mobile home park that I did this April. That was my first partnership that I've ever done. And that was something that came to my partner off the market from a real estate agent, though. And it was a wholesaler group out of Oregon that was calling around to parks and got a bite on one. And I asked the park owner directly how he got in touch with those folks. And he said they called and offered him a price way up here initially. And then they evaluated and came back and said, oh, we can't pay that. We can pay this. And, they got him on the hook. And then they reduced his outlay about $300,000 so that they can take a chunk of that. So I prefer to work directly with the mom and pops when I can find them. So I do marketing as well to them, but a lot of it is word of mouth and just meeting and greeting people. So
right,
absolutely.
Okay, let's see. We've got someone else in here. We've got Andrew. Andrew, we got you here. Turn your camera on. Talk to us. You got mobile home questions this morning? Oh, okay. I guess he disconnected. Corey had a comment here that just, I guess, piggybacked on what you said about the delays. He said, We lent some money to a financial friend that was doing mobile homes, but the lead time got so long, he's building stick instead now. So,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure. Hey, there he is. Hey, good. There's our mortgage guy.
What's going on, guys?
He messaged me this morning. He may have his first deed this morning. We're going to wait and see how that works out. But yeah, you got mobile home questions, or you buy mobile homes?
I do have a question. You guys hear me?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right.
Hey, Andrew.
Hey there. Good morning, Pam. So in a strange twist of events, twist of fate, a gal wants me to be her guardian, and she's through the probate process of a deceased relative. She's going to potentially inherit not only campgrounds, but also, it sounds like, maybe RV parks. And I didn't know if you've ever converted anything like that into what you're doing.
I have not converted anything yet, Andrew, but there are value and gold nuggets and everything that you just said. So
Yeah.
I do know of some folks that have RV parks that are combined with mobile home parks. I see pros and cons with that, depending on how you look at it. I mean, from one perspective, if I have tenants that are family oriented here in my parks, are they going to want folks coming in and out that are not stationary, right? Especially if they have kids.
Sure.
So that's part of the challenge I've heard some folks say. Infrastructure wise, it honestly depends on your municipality, whether you're in the rural areas or a city, and what they require.
Yeah.
If you're looking for shorter term rentals of some sort with your RV park, you can sometimes have a better bang for the buck to leave it, just like short term rentals in a house, right? You can get a significant higher rate per night and or per month whenever you're renting out a short-term rental. The same concept applies there for the concept of an RV park.
Yeah.
So your upfront costs for a mobile home park are significantly higher, unless you're in an area that you can work with but manufacturers and or dealers to bring in some homes, either used or new. Some dealers, if you're in an area that they want to be, will actually work with a park and set it up as a sort of a stationary community, and then have the sales of the homes in the community established already. But you've got to be in an ideal location for a dealer to want to work with you if there's areas for that. When I first started with my park, for instance, I approached the dealers and offered 2 months of free rent for anyone that, if they were buying a home and they didn't have a location to put it, that we would be a viable solution. So they came out, and we've gotten a couple folks set up because of that recently.
Yeah.
But the transition directly, I have not done that. To me, an RV park could be a little bit more work than what I want to do right now, but it doesn't mean that it wouldn't be something in the future I wouldn't look at.
Are you more county or more city, your places?
We're definitely not city. So I'm in North Carolina. My biggest park is outside of what we call Pinehurst, which is a big golf community. So a lot of my folks here work in the resorts here in Pinehurst and area. Right. So my address is in Aberdeen, but the water supply here is in a municipality called Pine Bluff. So we're 5 minutes from downtown areas, but they're not large locations compared to like Raleigh or Durham and Charlotte here in North Carolina. But we're also not in the middle of the boondocks either here in this location.
Are those manufactured homes on shared septic tanks, or they have their own individual septic tanks?
That's a great question. Whenever parks are set up, it's very common for you to have shared septic tanks. And I would just say this in general for anyone that doesn't know the information about sewer. You've got one of about 4 ways you can deal with sewers. One is obviously city or county sewer lines. Then you have septic tanks, and septic tanks are set up either by the number of bedrooms. So if you have a large enough septic tank, you can share it. So in my current park, we have 1 septic for every 2 mobile homes here. So typically there's a 3-bedroom and a 2-bedroom on that, because septics are based on bedrooms. If I didn't know that a long time ago, but now I'm very familiar with that.
Yeah.
And then you have, I can't think of the name of it. You guys may be able to tell me. There's one setup where you can do a pond that collects the sewer. I wouldn't touch that.
It's a lagoon.
That's the word. I would never touch a lagoon. Thank you, William.
Right.
I'm impressed that you know that.
Listen, what I learned about lagoons when I started looking at property in Missouri. Missouri has a lot of homes that have a lagoon set up. I don't know why.
Yes.
It's just I had never seen that before. But I was like, oh man, all these houses here have these little ponds. And then somebody said, oh, well, that's where. And I was, oh man, no,
Yeah.
I wouldn't be interested in that at all.
No,
Yeah.
there are still a lot of mobile home parks that have lagoons. But my personal fear is you get EPA involved at some point, and
Yeah.
you're going to have all these regulations. There is
Right.
one other that you can set up where if you have so many septics together, it becomes a pump station as well. I think that's the other one. For me, with where I am on things, I wouldn't touch that either. So I would,
Right.
ideal, it would always be city or county sewer, but then you get into septics, whether it's individual per trailer or share. I hope that answered your question now, Andrew. I went a long-winded way to say it.
I'm a long-winded guy. So
All right, good. We may meet up there then.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, thanks for joining us, Andrew. Hey, listen,
Yeah,
if you
thank
guys need a mortgage, Andrew's your guy. So give him a call. So
Awesome. Are you nationwide, Andrew?
About 23 states, but the list is growing. So it's just people should message me if they have a question, and we'll see if we can help them out. And if I don't, then I'll get them in touch with somebody that would be second best.
Good to know.
All right.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Hey, good to see you.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Bye-bye. Okay, we got a ton of questions here, Pam. Let's get rolling. Gosh, let me get back where start. Hey, Goodwin, good to see you from Los Angeles today. Michelle had a question. That's more for Lisa. Are tiny homes zoned differently than mobile homes? Maybe Lisa can jump in here.
I believe they are, but it also depends on your municipality as to what they're considering.
Okay. Let's see.
Because you have to have an identification for manufactured homes to be identified for it to specifically be allowable in an area, and that's going to go back to your zoning. Another thing I'll say is that if you buy a property that has an older mobile home on it or manufactured home, we're supposed to be saying manufactured home these days, I believe. But if you buy an older property, don't assume that if there is an existing manufactured home that you can put another one back, because some counties and cities don't want them back.
Right.
So just sort of informational purposes there. Please don't make an assumption that just because there was one that you can replace it with one as well.
Right. So Jeff, and this was a question, I guess that one of my questions about that, my biggest question, how do you estimate value of mobile homes? I know mobile homes aren't real property. They're personal property. That's why they get the little licensing sticker, unless it's been attached to the foundation or the new modular type home. So when I think mobile home, you know what I think? Do they even make single wide mobile homes anymore?
They do. Absolutely.
Okay.
They make them.
So how do you estimate value?
Sure. It is wide open is the answer there, Jeff. There's not one specific way. In general, manufactured homes are considered a depreciating asset. Okay, I'm going to say that again. In general, they are considered a depreciating asset. However, location can make a big difference. Whether or not they are or are not affixed to permanent foundation, which is sort of a misdemeanor in there as well as a misconception, not a misdemeanor. It's not illegal to do that. I'm catching myself on my wrong words. If they are attached to a permanent foundation, then as William said, it becomes part of the real estate property. And then your homes can go up in value depending on where you are there. I would say that your location is really going to be dependent on how to estimate them. And the best thing to say there is look in your local MLS and look on your whatever Facebook marketplace, because the reality is whatever someone tells you is what they think it's worth. And then it's a matter of whether or not you're willing to pay for it. I see single wides, for instance, in Raleigh and Durham that people are paying $80,000 for that I wouldn't pay $15,000 for.
Right.
They sell quickly because of the fact of location. And then in the housing market there, you can't find any home these days for under $200,000 and above in that area. So for some folks, $80,000 for a single wide is a great viable possibility, even if it's on a rented lot sometimes.
Right.
So for me, I wouldn't pay that, but someone else would. If you go to look at brand new homes, Their prices are varied because just as in a home, you have various levels of ABC quality inside of that.
Right.
You have the same thing within manufactured homes that sort of indicate your quality of those.
And not only that, I think what you get into is most of these older homes like that, or they can't get financing. It's going to have to be a seller finance situation. And the down payment and the monthly payment, you could charge $1 million for it.
That's
But
right.
if the down payment and the monthly payment is affordable to who's buying it, then they'll buy it.
That's right.
So,
I actually put one under contract yesterday. That's a sub-2 deal. So pulling out of Williams Hat there. It's got 5 acres and a large 4-bedroom double wide that's on a permanent foundation. It has a 3-car separated garage that's coming with it. And there's, I think, $46,000 remaining on the mortgage. So I'll take that on in a few months. They do want quite a bit more than that. So I've got to put cash outlay out, but I have 3 options. One is anytime that you have acreage with any type of house or manufactured home, you're going to be fine with making a note and bringing in bank there. Or I have the ability within this one, there's 2 separate lots, 2 acres each, 2 acres and 1.5 acres that I can bring in additional manufactured homes and set those up and then sell 3 notes there as a potential.
right.
So I'll take those all day long. And yes, you can do them as sub-2. I have another single wide that I purchased about a year ago from a lady who had moved on and she still had her mortgage on her single wide. So we moved the single wide into the park and set it up, and we're cash flowing $600 a month on that one in addition to the mortgage. So don't overlook them. And if you do, send them my way.
Right. Hey, Rex and Julie, I see you guys in the waiting room. If you guys want to come on, turn your camera on, and we'll get you in here. Mark said we're working on off-market mobile home parks in Florida right now, and in Texas, Oklahoma, Missouri. Gosh. Okay, Mark.
Everybody wants to be like Mark. He's all over the place and does a little bit of everything with his
I
experience.
know it, man. He is everywhere. Lisa asked, Pam, how do you find small parks?
Lisa, I am that person that if I drive by, I'm going to turn around and go back in and either try and find out who owns it or talk to anyone I see and ask them if they have information on the owner of the house. I believe in old-fashioned marketing.
Right.
Connecting and chatting with people. And that's just the way that I am. Obviously, we have the land records to look up as well to find out who owns property and go in that direction.
Right.
Again, from my experience, that by the time they get to a broker, it's the additional on top of that is just too crazy. And at least it's becoming a lot harder to do, to do.
Yeah.
Because people have understood, or there is a whole movement now about people understanding the potential cash flow within a mobile home park.
You said something that's so right, Pam. That's the old school methods. One of my coaches right now that I have, she says a lot, and maybe she's watching. If she does, hey, Laurel, how you doing? She says the fastest way to cash is through a conversation.
I would agree with that.
And I totally agree. Farouk asked, do you do deals all over the state?
Absolutely, Farouk. Bring anything you have towards me. I'll happily look at it. I will say that up front that I may not pay the same rate as somebody else will, but I look for deals wherever there's a deal.
Okay, I hear you. All right, Mark said, I have a question for Pam. Have you found lenders who will fund a newer used mobile home on its own land, permanently affixed? I have one in Arkansas right now and have to go cash or seller finance to sell it since it's too old to qualify for financing.
Absolutely, Mark. So there are lenders who will happily lend out on manufactured homes that are permanently affixed to the land. The last one that someone purchased from me was through a company called Movement Mortgage. I don't know if they're nationwide or not. 21st Mortgage is another one that's used through Vanderbilt. Those are the 2 that I'm aware of that will do that. I bought a mobile home for $13,000 a few.
I think Pam's video has frozen there just a little bit. Phil, I want to say I totally agree with your comment. We're not going to show it up here, but yeah, my thoughts on lagoons are pretty much the same. Mark had a question here. Does Andrew have any lenders for mobile homes? So you may want to answer that for Mark, Andrew, if you do. Hey, Pam. Pam's
I don't know what happened there. Sorry about that.
It's the internet. It happens sometime. So
the conversation about lenders for mobile homes, again, the ones that I know of, 21st Mortgage, a lot of times they'll do new homes specifically. And then Movement Mortgage is another one that we have seen come through lately with a few things. Some community banks will loan out on them. One of the parks I bought recently, we used a company that's a local community bank in the area of North Carolina. Just depends on where you are. So.
Right. Okay. Let's see. Yes, Lisa's are all stick built. Someone asked about her tiny homes.
Okay. So, William, I will say I got a call not too long ago from some folks who wanted to actually create a mobile home park in a land. They had 50 acres and they were looking to do it. And in concept, that sounds fantastic to do. But you really do have to know more about your local municipalities, even if it's rural. In my county, where a lot of my stuff is, you can't build new parks here. You can't build new parks throughout most of North Carolina at this point. And there's various reasons for that, obviously, but you definitely have to know what your jurisdiction will or will not allow for mobile homes and mobile home parks in general. So.
Right. Okay. Mark says, congratulations, Pam, on your latest deal. Yes,
Thank
congratulations. Jeff asked, what determines whether a lender will lend on a manufactured home?
I cannot answer that directly, Jeff. My experience with the ones that I've dealt with is there is an age on it. Let's talk two separate entities. One is if you're buying a park. One is if you're buying a home with an existing manufactured home and land with it. Okay. From a park perspective, I would just give some information there on that side of the world that typically whenever an evaluation is done for a lender, they are not looking at the manufactured homes. They're only looking at what we're going to call the lot rent. So for instance, in my case, I may have a home, let's say I have a 2-bedroom, 1-bath that we're renting out for anywhere from $500-$600. And then if somebody were just renting out the lot from me, I may charge $250 where I am. So when I'm looking at this from a lender perspective, they're going to say $250 is what they'll lend on there, times, of course, the number of lots you have in there, whether it's current and or future, depending on how you're doing that, and then multiplying it out through a couple of different formulas there. If I have a home on site and it's land on permanent foundation, that's a different story. Typically, they want it to be, I believe the latest that I heard, because I don't do this very often, is 20 years or younger. And then you have to have, there's just like on our vehicles, there is a VIN number or a serial number in a manufactured home. And it's in one of usually two places. It is literally a piece of paper that they have glued onto a cabinet or onto a wall somewhere in a closet that has the information on there, including the manufacturer. If you can't find it there, it is embedded, engraved into the steel plate underneath the home. And you have to have that VIN number to do anything. We can talk at another time about how you can find that, because it can be challenging. And if somebody removes cabinets or paints and they paint over it, you lose that information. But it is embedded or engraved into the steel plate underneath the house.
Okay. All right. Facebook user Pam is a rock star. I totally agree. And if you guys want for us to know who you are, go to streamyard.com/Facebook and we'll know who you are there. Andrew commented, I'll see if we write and sell off to secondary. What happened there? I'll see if we write and sell off to secondary any true mobiles and tiny homes. We do write double wide homes all day long. I think my producer was trying to put the link in there.
Andrew, would you mind confirming if you're going to do a double wide, what is the age of a double wide that it has to be? And then does that also apply to a single wide if it's on permanent foundation? Just out of curiosity.
Mhm.
And
Okay.
my experience when you talk to a mortgage broker of any sorts, if they say they kind of frown upon mobile homes, move on. You'll find somebody else that will do it if you're
Right.
wanting it bad enough. So
Mhm. Becca said, I found one in Wyoming. I found the owner, like you're saying, the owner inherited it and hates it. There are 8 vacant, 1 rented mobile homes, been in a beautiful area near the beautifully kept popular park. I need to get lending on this park too. There you go.
So,
need to-
Becca, my experience has been if they are vacant, you're going to have challenges trying to find a commercial lender that will do it because they want to see the cash flow, of course. But that is a home or that is a park, especially if it is a tired landlord, that you can probably get at a really good deal. You may even be able to convince them to let you do owner financing on something like that, because if they have zero income coming in today, they will have the asset still right as a backup, and then you could put the lien on there. If you do that, my advice is attempt to get the titles to the trailers if you have them on site, and not let them hold that as part of the asset for you, because then you don't have the ability to potentially, I don't know, sell off the home and then just charge lot rent. And then the other thing to keep in mind is if you're doing a park, long term, if your goal is to refinance your park, some limitations will occur on the number of investors and the percentage of investors they'll allow in there versus tenant-owned home. And what that means, just sort of clarifying on terminology there, if I have a park with 100 homes in it and 40 of those homes are investors owning the home and then someone else living in there as a renter, that park may not qualify for commercial lending in the big picture. So that those formulas are really important to know what percentage are park-owned tenant or park-owned home, tenant-owned homes, or investor-owned homes. They will frown upon too many investor-owned homes within a park at some point.
It seemed like the key thing in Becca's comment was they inherited it and they hate it, and there are all those vacants. I would think that would be prime right there for seller financing.
Absolutely.
To get that done. So
as long as it's not a lagoon.
That's right. So we've got a couple more students in here. We've got Rex and Julie. Hey guys.
Hey.
How are y'all? You guys do mobile homes, or you have a question for Pam?
We have done a couple singles on property. That we saw she was coming on here. We wanted to get on and see, like what Jeff asked, how you evaluate them, because like she said, everybody puts a different number on it.
That's right.
You know, and the repairs is the same way. Everybody figures repairs different. Because when we did homes that had been through a hurricane that weren't destroyed, but weren't in tip-top shape. So
Well, here's the beauty of it, Rex and Julie, is especially if you're going to own or finance them out, the value of the home is what you deem it as, right?
Right.
And just like William talks about all the time in the sub-2 world, there's 2 questions that people ask if they're going to purchase: how much down and how much per month, right? Well, in a mobile home, especially if it's on land, you have those abilities to do the same thing. If you have a mobile home that has land on it, then you become even more valuable with those. Some of you guys have heard me talk about my REI cash flow formula, where I'll use a multiplier to determine how much more I'm going to charge for a home, and then the interest in the years coming in there with the down payment. I have a couple of places that I have purchased where if it was 2 or more acres, I do that the same as I do anything else, even if it's a house, for that multiplier, and come up with owner financing. So literally creating cash out of nowhere, creating notes by doing that. So if you're doing owner finance opportunities, honestly, it doesn't matter what other people are charging or not charging, or selling or not selling for them, because you're creating that opportunity for someone to purchase a home, the American dream, especially if it has acreage in it.
Right.
Gotcha.
Yeah, the ones we looked at were like 5/8 of an acre, and they were we didn't know about this stuff at that time.
Sure.
You know, we got into this out of necessity as wholesalers and fix and flippers to help bring more deals across the table.
Yes,
You know,
absolutely.
all these people nowadays think they own a mansion, but they might have an outhouse. But you know,
That's right. That's why I
That's
say it depends on what the person selling it thinks it is. So,
Right.
Mm.
Yeah,
yeah,
for sure.
right.
yeah,
That's the thing. I mean, doing this for 22 years, and I'm telling you, with seller financing, I can't tell you the number of people who never ever ask me the sales price of
No.
conventional home. They want to know how much down, how much a month.
right.
Okay.
And for how
Right.
long? And for how long?
Is
That's
it
right.
affordable? Is it affordable for them? Can they make the payments? Can they get in the house? That's really the key. And I can imagine, especially with the lower cost stuff, like some mobile homes now manufactured homes. Okay, I guess that's the proper terminology now. That mobile homes carry that
Be proper.
negativity sort of thing. But I can imagine in that marketplace, it's even more prevalent that that's their thinking about
Yeah,
stuff.
absolutely.
How much down, how much months.
Yeah, 'cause
Absolutely.
people that have a mobile home and it's on acreage, they think they got a gold mine.
And sometimes they do.
I
Yeah.
think everybody thinks they have a gold
Yeah,
mine.
but I'm saying with a manufactured home because, like she said, it's a depreciating value.
Right.
Where are you guys located, Rex and Julie? Just out of curiosity.
Well, right now we're in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina.
Oh, okay.
But the two properties that we sold, it was just a wholesale deals that we did, and that was in Louisiana, Lake Charles, Louisiana.
Got it.
There's a lot of trailers over there,
There's a
Absolutely,
ton.
no doubt.
Yeah.
and there's
Yeah.
a lot of people with parks and buy trailers, like you were talking about, to move in, and that's how
Right.
we're trying to get a value because we know some people that buy trailers.
Mhm.
Right. And when you buy a park, I mean, the beauty of it, if you buy a park, is you are able to set the rate of the lot rent. And
Right.
you get to a point where not only are they not going to move trailers out because of the age of them potentially, but sometimes you get them abandoned and then you take ownership of them as well. And then you can do whatever you want to with those. But yeah, there's beauty of being a park owner on many, many levels. One of the parks I bought a few months ago, we found out that the rent had not been raised in over 10 years. So
Wow.
we came in after 3 months and we're the bad people, right?
Mhm.
And raised rent significantly, but we did it on a tiered strategy because some of the people living in that park had been there for 30 years and they were truly on fixed incomes, right?
Wow.
They own the homes there, but so we took and added $70 to the tenant owned homes there. And then if you were an investor, we made it a different price. So for instance, if Julie and Rex had a home within that park and you were renting it out to a tenant, right? So we added another $40 to your rate. And then we identified up front to confirm who lives in each home. And if someone sold a trailer in there between that time, then that was a different rate of where we were going to get to eventually, which is
Pam's
significant.
parks aren't very investor friendly.
And that was going to be my question, because we've had people that have trailers in parks that they own that they want to sell, but they rent the land. And then we ask them, like, well, what does the park rules stipulate as far as another investor buying it? Does it have to be an owner? And like you said, they make their own rules. So
yeah,
sometimes questions like that are better posed to the park owner, correct?
They have to be to the park owner, and you're going to figure out quickly how sophisticated or potentially unsophisticated, right? Some park owners just want the money. They don't care.
Right.
But William, part of the reason why I am not so investor friendly is I know my long-term strategy with these parks are to sell them, right? And I also am aware that some commercial lenders will not let you lend on parks that are too high a percentage of investors. In. So
I'm just joking around.
I know it's all good. It's all good. I didn't know any of this a few years ago myself. So learning and figuring it out.
My point is just things are a little bit different than they were back when Lonnie wrote his book.
Absolutely, they're totally different.
That changed for sure.
Yeah, and now, I mean, if you're buying a mobile home in a park, you need to know what the requirements are for you. Kevin Strong and I were talking through some options out in Oregon and Washington. I think it was a Washington State, and we caught a couple parks. And this was a very savvy corporate-owned park. And they said they're trying to raise rents over the next couple of years pretty strongly. So if we bought the trailer in the park between now and whenever, it would be X rate. Well, when the next person comes in, it was going to shoot up another 30%. So they were looking strategy wise and penalizing investors again in that sense, because they know what they have, especially in places like Oregon where mom and pop, or Washington, sorry, where mom and pop had owned it and they really hadn't increased the rate. So they're aware of what's happening and investors buying them and then reselling them. And they're going to bank on that as they do it. So you need to know up front what your park sees investors and what changes are coming.
Right.
How would that affect taking it over, like on seller financing? Like, say you got somebody who wants to sell it, you give them a couple thousand down so they can move, and then you take over on seller financing at a certain number.
It still depends on what your park.
That 30% increase would really, you'd have to know that up front so you can figure it into your end game, right?
Well, you better ask that up front to know
Right,
that.
right. But I'm just saying, if you need to ask and find out when or if the increases are coming, so you can
That's right.
tabulate into your front end formula, right?
You need to not only ask when they're coming, but are you having to be approved as an investor? Does your person coming in and buying the trailer need to be approved? Or can you hold it and rent it and then only have you as the approved person? You need to know all of that. I'll tell you what my answer would be as a park owner, right? Yeah. Because the thing is I don't want a tenant in there that I haven't credentialed, especially in these days where you don't know someone's criminal background.
Right.
I want to, once I take on a park, I want to know anyone coming into that park, regardless. So that's just my priority, because it's becoming more challenging to evict. And then you have someone that owns the mobile home. It becomes even harder to foreclose, right? Or to actually get someone out if they own the trailer. That's a whole nother story there. That it's a longer conversation about how to get rid of someone that owns their own trailer within a park.
Now, when you do parks all over the place, do you have an on-site manager, somebody that lives on the site to take care of it?
It just depends. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. The size matters. And then whether or not sorry, I just realized what I said.
I got it.
Wow. Look at that.
It depends on if we own the trailers or not. It depends on lots of things there. Trying to recover from that one, William.
It's the first goat talk ever with a PG rating. It's okay.
The size of the home matters. We'll recover from the size of the park matters. We have a couple other questions coming in here too.
We do. Hey, Rex, Julie, I appreciate you guys popping in. We're going to get these questions and get out of here. So you guys have a great day.
So Goodwin asks, do I sell the notes originated from these homes? And the answer is, Goodwin, it's hard to sell mobile home notes because most people don't like mobile homes. So I know that if I'm bringing in notes on a mobile home, that more than likely I'm going to hold that, because I have not found very many people that want to buy those notes. Not because they're not good notes, but because in general, people are scared of mobile homes.
Okay. So we've only got about 7 minutes left, Pam. Let's run through these comments. Corey said he found out the hard way earlier this year in Virginia that the home's title has to be surrendered and affidavit filed to turn a home into real estate.
Correct.
Michelle says, congrats on your find.
Thank you, Michelle.
Hey, Cindy, good to see you. Great content. Good to see all of the graphics. Thank our producer. She's amazing. Lisa said, Pam is a rock star. Absolutely, she is. Jeff had a question. I see them on blocks with skirting. Just quickly, what defines a permanent foundation? That's when it's on blocks and the axles have been removed.
Axles have been removed, and then when you say on blocks, the blocks become your pillars underneath it.
Right.
But a permanent foundation typically means stone, cinder blocks, stucco, or brick around it. And when you look at the true foundation of a mobile home, the mobile home is actually not sitting on it. It's on the edge of the perimeter. You still will have the blocks underneath it. Right. But that's what would define a permanent foundation. Otherwise, it's called vinyl skirting typically, or panel skirting. And skirting is there. It's a fancy name for whatever. Some areas, like in our area, you're required to have skirting on to actually get your permits approved. It's not that case everywhere.
Okay. Joe says,
Congrats,
bought my
Joe.
first in August 07. Hey, Joe, good to see you here. Mark said, spoke with a lender this month who said their underwriting and tightened up to 10 years from 20 and to ask around. Followed up by Andrew that says, single wide Fannie Mae guideline, 10 years, single width manufactured home can be no older than 10 years.
Yeah.
Okay. So there you go. Becca said there's one mobile home rented. The homes are all very old. Let me tell you, my experience with that stuff, I watched my buddy turn old, dilapidated houses into pretty nice looking stuff with a little bit of carpet, some paint, and vinyl siding.
That's right. You can do miracles in old mobile homes. You just got to have the investment of time and money to do it. My first park I bought, the oldest home that we had paid for the park on itself. And then when we revamped it, we did everything from sheetrock and flooring to a new roof to new vinyl, new windows. And we tripled the price of it after we did it. But we had people lined up to rent that old one whenever it was there because of the price. You couldn't find anything less than that. And they knew when they came in, they were in a less than perfect house, but they didn't care because it was affordable.
Right. Okay. Andrew said manufactured homes, Fannie Mae, 1976 or newer.
There were changes in the code in 1976 that changed things for homes. And in general, you cannot put anything older than 1976 on the road to move it.
Right. Okay. Mark says, has Pam or anyone bought a 55 plus senior mobile home park negotiating on one in Florida? Right.
I have not at this time. I have not, Mark. So.
Okay. And let's see. Pam, do you offer coaching? You can never have enough good, solid practicing coaches.
You can always reach out and we will chat. I have a website that I have reserved, but I have not made the time to actually put it in there. It's actually called wobblyboxes.com. Thanks to William and his joking with me all this time, but it's not set up yet. It's on my curriculum planned out. But
wobblyboxes.com was available.
It was. Can you believe that?
That is insane. I can't believe it. Okay, so you're going to get that set up. Listen, the good news for you, Kenneth, and everybody else here is that Pam is going to do a deeper dive training called More Mobile Home Magic right here on November 30th.
Yeah.
She's going to do that at 5 p.m. in the evening. It's 5 Pacific, 6 Mountain, 7 Central, 8 Eastern. Tell them what you're going to talk about, Pam.
Sure. So we're going to dig in a bit more during that discussion about what defines a manufactured home, single versus double, what you're looking for when you're evaluating a manufactured home, and then touch very lightly, tipping the toes in to the water of what some initial park evaluation means if you're interested in going that route. And just sort of answer some more in-depth questions. I've had a few folks ask me, can we tag on this? And when William and I chatted and he said, let's start with the goat talk and then go to the next level. This was just to give a broad discussion option for this topic. And then we can dig a bit more deeper into what is a single wide, what is a double wide, what is a triple wide, believe it or not, that exists. And what makes them different than stick-built homes and why I love them, and why, if you don't love them, send them to me and we can partner with them. So
I know we had so many questions and comments today. We didn't get to a lot of deal examples, and you're going to have some of those in that training as well. How we bought it, how we financed it, how we made a ton of money, and that sort of thing. So guys, mark your calendar. We'll set that up as an event this week, so you'll be able to get notifications. Be looking for that. And make sure that you, I think you just have to hit interested or I'm going. So you'll get Facebook notifications and you won't miss that. So again, it's going to be November the 30th at 5 o'clock Pacific and of course across the country at an hour.
We'll look forward to it. Thanks, Mr. Tingle.
Hey, listen, thanks so much for being here today, Pam. I love to talk to you about mobile homes. I don't know if I'll ever want to buy one, but I like to talk about it. For sure. So,
It's one of my favorite topics, but I have a lot of favorite topics. So.
oh gosh, Jody's in there. I want to buy one, so she can come on and watch that and ask you a bunch of questions.
I'm actually in our office at my park is a mobile home, and this is my manager's office. And I don't know if you could see, she took vinyl flooring and put it back here on this wall, which I love, and it's very cute. But we have it set up so we can literally, there's a bay window in this bedroom that we can see the office sign, the mailbox, and anyone coming into the main road here. So,
all right,
yeah, good stuff.
Great. All right, Pam. Again, thanks everybody for joining us. Make sure you come on for Pam's additional training at the end of the month. So, okay, guys, we'll see you next Thursday, same time for Go Talk. So, see y'all then.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
William. Thanks.